everyone. Hope you've had an awesome week. I most certainly have. And I thought that today we could have a look at what we have done throughout this sketchbook series. We made a sketchbook. This is mine here in front of us. And I just thought that we would have a look and see how we fold it. So for those of you who followed all the tutorials, we started off with getting to know your materials. We went through our pencils and we laid them down very, very finely, soft pressure, and then we added more and more pressure. We then blended them out with a blending stump, half of it, so that we could get to know exactly what they do. We then took a kneaded eraser and we had a look to see what we could do with a kneaded eraser. We then moved on to a tonal value. We used a 2H. And we saw what we could get, one being the paper, and we saw what we could get with a 2H, which is quite phenomenal. Grading it up to an 8, being the darkest tone. We did the same thing with a 4B Mars Luminous black pencil, and then we did the same thing with a 2B graphite pencil. And that would then help you when you start drawing. You could go back to it and have a look and see. We used the observation, rules of third, and had a look at that. That's also on the tutorials. And we then went on to different ways of shading. We did cross-hatching, stippling, scribbling, and my favorite, shading. We then did a 10-minute and a 5-minute sketch, and we had a look at exactly what we could do within that time, which was great fun as well. We did a mushroom that I'd found that was dried, and I think that this was the casing from a blue gum tree. We then went on to continuous line drawing, turning mine upside down, because that's how I started. So I did say to you that what I do is I turn my sketchbook whichever way it works for me, being right-handed. And we drew a continuous line using our hands in different positions. And as you can see, that was also great fun too. We then went on to still life and shading. And we continued here. This was part of the blind contour drawing from the page before with the hands, my apology. And then we went on to quick sketches, butternut, onion, and pears, and blended them out. And just had great fun doing that. We then went on to noses and eyes. We had great fun drawing this eye, which belongs to my son. It's one of his photographs. And then we had a look at how to draw noses, different positions. We went on to lips, and we drew lips in different positions. We went on to shading. Let me turn this around. This was all about light observation. We did that. We also mucked around with different ways of blending using different things. So we used a blending stump, and then we also used paint brushes, different types of paint brushes. And then we went on to 1-point and 2-point perspective, which was also great fun. All of these are in my tutorials. They are all available for you to watch. And then we went on to trying to draw a hyper-realistic eye. There are a couple of them. Here's another one. Different blending, ways of blending to get to that hyper-realistic eye, just practicing. There is the end result of that hyper-realistic eye, which turned out extremely well, I felt. And then we went on to different ways of getting the picture onto your paper. We did the grid method. We tried other different methods of doing it. We even used measuring with a pencil, and we used tracing paper, or not tracing paper, but paper that transfers. We used the envelope method. This is just an experiment with water-soluble graphite. We did ears. We then went on to a full portrait. This is a very quick video that I did at the very beginning of a photograph that my son took. This was quick. And then we did a foreshortened, sorry, I'm getting all my papers all over the place. Let me just move that out of the way. Then we did a foreshortened portrait, which was great fun. In between all of this, we did different types of lines and just straight lines freehand. This is all about freehand and just practicing lines. We then went on to waves and circles and etc, etc. And we use those lines to make just simple drawings. So that is as far as we went with our sketchbook. I also did a fun little thing using circles and making a few Christmas baubles. So today what I thought we could do is we could use toned paper for a change. And I know that we don't have that in our sketchbook, but I just thought it could be fun. I have been mucking around with it and experimenting and enjoying it. And this is a Canson Mi-Teintes. This is actually for pastel, but I have used it for charcoal and it works extremely well. And I'm pretty sure that there's no reason why it shouldn't work for pencil. It's 160 gram. It has these colors in it, these different colors in this pad. And I have chosen a light gray because I thought that we could use that tone for the graphite. We're looking at this picture. We're going to look at the shapes. That's what we're working on. Remember what we said about shapes. And I think that for her lighter, for this tone, the lighter areas, we're going to use the paper for that. I think it will work out well. So without further ado, let us start. I may not finish this entire video or this entire portrait in the time that we have, excuse me, but we will most certainly try. So as usual, and as I always tell you to start, make sure that you have printed out the photograph. This is from UnSplash. They are free on there. You don't need to pay for the app if you have Apple. I do know that unfortunately with Android you do. I'm not quite sure why. This is a photograph by Jacob Mejicanos. I hope I'm saying that right. I probably am not. But it's beautiful, this photograph. So we start off by outlining the size of our piece of paper. And then we're just going to literally take points across. So that's where that shape is. This is where the mouth is. Remember I showed you this method. We have the top of her nose. And I'm putting them kind of in this line here because you can see that this is a vertical portrait. And we can also put in the edge of her face, which is another shape. Let's just have a look and see. That would be her hand, her wrist, and let's go. So we have this shape. I'll put it on the side of my paper, right next to what the size looks like. And it's very dry here. We have had rain, very strange weather. But as you can see, this has dried out completely and is actually rolling up because of how dry it is. It's annoying to say the least, but just have to cope, manage it. That's all that we have to do. So just put in these shapes, and as I always say to you, it doesn't matter if they are not correct. So you can see that I'm going up into this shape here, which is her cheek, or the hollow part of her cheek. I've gone across the bit that I've put in because we're going to be using this paper to use the light. We are using that as our first tone. You can see here I'm putting in the nose, shadow of that nose, and then that nostril on that side. Be aware of the foreshortening, you can see that this is a lot, and also where the light is coming from. So there's a lot more shadow here, bigger, much bigger shape than what there is on this side. So I'm just going to put those shapes in. This is the mouth, just darkening that upper lip. And try and do this freehand. I can already see that this distance here is not enough. If I take my pencil and I measure it, oh, it's not too bad. So what I have done is I've actually filled in that bottom lip, which I don't want to do. I want that paper, so I'm going to change that in a minute. This comes down here and around there, and that should be light. Where is my kneaded eraser? There it is. So what I've done is I have filled in the bottom lip, bottom of the lip, which you don't really want to be doing. So you want that area there, and you can see that the top part of this lip has got hardly any shading whatsoever. It's basically the outline of the lip, just a suggestion. So we're going to do that. This comes up here, comes down and goes around. I just want to make sure that I've got, so what I'm doing is I'm measuring from the top of this point. There's a little point here, measuring from there to there, just to make sure that I have got that. And I can come down a bit further and take this away. So that is better. And we can already see that the mouth is starting to take shape. We need to take this across and down. And this, of course, is all beautifully shaded, this shape. I've gone around here. I hope it's enough. Again, use your pencil to measure. You have these tools, and it's not cheating. It is perfectly good for you to do that. I would encourage it. Can you see that there is this texture on this paper? It's honeycomb texture. So when I did a pastel on here, let me show you. I did this cheetah, and I wasn't enjoying these marks at all, this honeycomb texture, and then realized that it's actually what the paper's all about, and I need to embrace it. So that's why I'm now using it for this portrait and make sure that I embrace it. Can you see the honeycomb on the nose? It's actually quite interesting for this particular type of portrait, for an animal where they have all these marks on their nose. I can't say that I'm really keen on it around the eye area, but it does give a very, very good effect, and it's pretty good. I mean, it isn't horrible, but I realized that I needed to embrace it because what I was trying to do is I was trying to make it into the paper that it wasn't. So that was not great. Okay, so I'm going to, this is the side of her face. Remember, we marked that. I'm going to come down here. She's got quite a, because it's foreshortened, you can see that this cheek area here looks really prominent. So we're going to do that, and I think that that is correct. And I did not mark out the eye, which is fine. We'll do that now. Put the paper back on, and let's mark out the bottom of the eye. I've taken the cheek up far too high. You can see that I have. Let's mark this side of the eye, and we're going to mark the top of the lid. So you can see that I have already taken this up far too high, and that is what is so interesting about foreshortening, because it tricks the brain into thinking that the lines are longer. And if I look at this shape here, this must come down much lower. So I'm going to rectify that now as well. I'm going to take my pencil the other way and then up around there. That's what I'm going to do. Right. Hopefully that is better. Okay, so we have, this is the bottom of the eye, and you can see that it's in line with the nose, and that's what I should have picked up. That goes there, that's in line with the nose, and then it comes up, comes out. It's actually quite close to this part of the nose, so we can extend that and we can take this around and it comes across here. It doesn't quite disappear into the side. I need to get rid of that because that is the top of the head. Remember to use your 2H on its side because you don't want to, and I still don't have this correct. So I think I'm going to go down from here and then go that way. Okay, hopefully I have that a whole lot better now. And that is all in shadow. This is her hand, remember? I'm going to take that out because her hair is very, very light. Okay, take it across here. Right, let's me carry on now with this part of her eye. I'm going to do this and then I'm going to take that out because that kind of disappears into that part of her face there. So I think we've got a pretty good line here. So I'll darken this for her nose and darken this for her cheek. Let's give that a little bit more of a... Then if I look here, we can see that there's beautiful streaking here, obviously from her hair and from her... This comes across, comes down and it covers that eye. But now let me have a look here. So remember I said to you that we need to make sure that we follow lines, and I have not done that. Oh, let's listen to my own teaching is what I need to be doing. And that goes across there. That is her hair. Then we've got this dark bit of her eyebrow that's sticking out. Okay, let's blend. We're not going to get this finished today, but that's fine because it's something to look forward to, I think. Let's take that out, take this in, and do I have a better line on her face? I think I do. I'm going to measure this. I'm going to measure from here to the edge of this light piece here. Okay, so I need to take that out. Right, let's blend. I just want to make sure that I take that off. There's quite a lot on there, and I see I've already got finger marks all over here. Take that off of there, and now let's start blending. Do the edge of that part of the lip and come up here. Look how beautiful it blends. That is one thing about this, I have to say. This is the first time I'm trying graphite on this paper, and this is far too far over, and I'm really enjoying it, I have to say. So, and also just trying out something new as in a toned paper, I think is quite nice to do for a change. So it's filling in that honeycomb texture kind of filling it in. I do still have some of it, but it's not a lot. This is the bottom of the mouth, and it goes up here and it comes down here and around, and I need to take this out. Although that is lighter, I'll sort it out when I start going in with the pencils. And this line is not correct, so I just want to correct that. That goes across there. There we go, that's better. And we've got this very, very light line here at the top of the mouth. I'm really enjoying this. I have to say that it is great. Great for blending, for graphite. That's the dark part of her eyebrow on that side, and then I'm just going to come over here and blend this out. There's the crease of her lid. There we go. And I really have to say that I am liking this. I'm liking this a lot, and I hope that you guys have some toned paper. It doesn't necessarily have to be this paper. I happen to have this. I bought it for pastel, obviously, because I've gotten very heavily into pastel, and then discovered that pastel mat is actually what one should be buying. Well, not what one should be buying, but is a lot easier to work on, especially for the kinds of work I was doing, and also for the clientele, because they obviously feel better that it is a paper that is particularly made for pastel. Okay, so there we are so far. That's what we have. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and we'll carry on with it in the next tutorial. Have an awesome week, everybody. Bye.